Welcome back to the Darkmoon Faire card evaluation stream for the Lightforge podcast. We are the Grinning Goat. I'm ADWCTA.
This is Merps. We're finally talking about cards, and we're going to talk about the best neutral cards. Let's go.
I just realized your camera was weird. I fixed your camera.
Oh, thank you.
Hashtag professionals.
Appreciate it. All right, top neutral cards.
Top neutral cards. So we covered this in the last episode, and it hasn't changed in the last 5 minutes. Don't kill me if it changes before Tuesday, because we're still doing things with the algorithm, and it's very close to the next card. But the number one card right now is Claw Machine. And I'm going to circle this card and put an asterisk in it as the absolute representative of what the meta for Darkmoon Faire is going to be like. Claw Machine's a 6 mana, 6/3 mech with Rush and Death Rattle. Draw a minion from your deck and give it +3/+3. Okay, let me do a breakdown first of how the card works, and then Merps will tell you why it's just ridiculous. Remember, 230 is like okay, so there's no more absolute zero, so it's not really 2 Yetis. Yeti's about a 100, but it's close. Like it's a lot more valuable than a Yeti. It's just kind of a ridiculous card, and it kind of makes sense, right? Because you're drawing a card and buffing it. Okay, so first, it's 6 mana, deal 6 damage. So it's like a fireball, but you got to pay 2 extra mana. Now remember, fireballs are really, really, really freaking good. You can also play this card, unlike a fireball, if you just want a minion out there. And if you hit something, like let's say the remainder body of a, what am I thinking of? The remainder body of a Rusty Raider, right? Or something like that. You can do that and it'll still live and then be able to deal more damage afterwards. So it's a real body. Like there's a reason it has 3 health and not 1 health. If it had 1 health, this will be significantly lower. The 3 health actually matters. Then, after it rushes and dies, which is going to be pretty quick, you will draw a minion from your deck, which is like whatever, and then you will give it +3/+3. So that's not just 6 stats of card advantage, that's 6 stats of tempo, because you're not increasing the mana cost at all of this next card you're drawing. So you have a delayed tempo that could come out on the very next turn. It could come out on this turn. If you use Claw Machine, get a card, and you still have mana to play it. Like, the tempo that this card could potentially give you, if you get lucky, is insane. Because it's also a +3/+3 on a minion. That minion could have Taunt, it could have a Divine Shield, it could have a random ability that, like, it's really, really good if it gets more attack, or if it gets more health. Like, there's a lot of things going on these days with cards, right? There's not a lot of Yetis hanging out. So if you get a card that's not a Battlecry minion, it's probably going to do something extra with these stats that it's getting. And remember, you're already gaining, even if you don't hit any of them, you're already gaining basically 3 more mana whenever you play that other card, because you're getting a free +3/+3 at tempo. So Claw Machine, initially slow on the tempo, but once you play this next card that it gets, you get a lot of tempo back, and not to mention that whole extra card advantage from that card, and an extra +3/+3 that may then be multiplied again by a Divine Shield or some other ability. Like, it's 2 cards. It's 2 cards in 1. And it doesn't lose tempo in the big picture over the course of like 2-3 turns or whatever, and it's at least 2 cards, if not a little bit more. And so that's why it's worth like double a Yeti.
This thing is a meta definer. We're going to have cards that we rate high, but because of their rarity and because they're a class card, sometimes they're like an epic class card, it doesn't even matter how good it is, you won't see it that often. Even for neutrals, if it's an epic card, you won't see it that often. So you'll see the effect of that pretty soon in the next card. But going back, if you remember previously, we had a card like Moarg Artificer as very high. And if you remember kind of the effect that Moarg Artificer had, you'd be like, well, wait, Merps, it had no effect. It had no effect because you didn't see it that often. But was it still good? It was still really, really good. 2 mana for a 2/4 is really good. You can always use it first. The people that used it know how good it is, but it was really freaking rare. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between how much a card affects the meta versus how good it is. And if it is a common card and it's good, it's going to have the highest impact on the meta.
Yeah. So this is a common card. I know if you talk to, I was looking at Arena HS, and this card was identified as one of the best ones, but I don't think anyone clearly came out and said, "WTF? This card is like Twin Tyrant, the next Twin Tyrant. What the hell, guys? This card is the next Twin Tyrant. What the hell, guys?" Like, that's what we're here to say. This card is ridiculous. It is bonkers. It is Twin Tyrant. It is that meta breaking. Now, it's nicer than Twin Tyrant in that it's not just pumping out a crap ton of tempo at once. It does not counter anything. So, like, remember those times when you had 2/4/4s on the board and you get Twin Tyranted and you're like, oh my god, what the hell? That's never going to happen with Claw Machine. In fact, you're rarely going to even have it get all of its stuff out on the same turn, right? So it's spread out among a couple of turns. You throw a little bit of RNG into it, and it's a nicer to play with card than Twin Tyrant. But make no mistake, it is as powerful as a Twin Tyrant. Yeah, 230. I guess technically our highest neutral card ever, but we did change. And if you're wondering, if you're just looking at this and you don't know what the hell's happening, you're like, what, 230? We changed our mana system, which kind of changed the scaling of cards, especially large cards. Especially high mana using cards. So 230 is now no longer the most ridiculous game-breaking thing ever. It's around where a Twin Tyrant was. So we've seen cards like this, but it's certainly at the top, right? Like, there weren't that many cards, and there weren't any neutral cards that were appreciably above a Twin Tyrant. So this is where we're at with Claw Machine. It is a meta-defining, common, top-of-the-line. If you want to hear more information about how our rating system has kind of changed for this expansion, you can go watch the first video or listen to the first podcast episode called Intro. We kind of explain a little of what happened to the ratings. So yeah, 230, best neutral ever, or at least within that vicinity of the best neutral common ever. You're gonna learn to live with it and against it.
All right.
I mean, I want to say a little more, because we're only doing 4 cards this episode, so I feel like I can, and this is such an important card, I feel like I can like kind of build on your point just a little more as to how pervasive this card is going to be in the meta, and to just reiterate that despite how pervasive it is and how good of a card it is less messed up than Twin Tyrant, because it's spreading the love around over the course of several turns. Like, if you're gonna build a card that's super, super powerful, this is kind of the best way to do it. Like, I can't really think off the top of my head a better way to build a 230 rated card for the arena. Now, the answer is you should not be building 230 rated cards that are common and neutral, but clearly Blizzard is not on board with us on that. So if they're going to do it, this is the best way to do it. And clearly, this is where the game is headed. Blizzard's been coming out with ridiculous cards for a long time. And just to give you a comparison, right, of how high Twin Tyrant is compared to what? Smug Senior is still in the game, right? Smug Senior is a 157. It didn't change that much from where its rating was before this. It's still like a super, super good card, but it's not like over a 200. The highest card now that is still in the meta from before is Plague Proto Drake at 178. High mana cost, large card, right? Like, those are the things that really got boosted. Good large cards with high mana costs. And I know a bunch of you were on us for the entirety of the last expansion, but now that the mana system is fixed, Wand Maker is now a 150. So I think a lot of people wanted Wand Maker to be this high. It is now, yes, this high. And I think a lot of people have had really good experiences with it. But okay, Claw Machine. Any final words before we move on?
No, move on.
Okay, next card is basically a 230 again. And this is a card that I haven't seen anybody talk about, like, as like a ridiculously good card. So maybe the algorithm is off, maybe we're crazy, but I think that the algorithm is fine. And I will tell you why in a second. But this card is Carnival Clown. It is an epic card, so it will not shape the meta. You will not see it often at all. Epic cards show up about a fourth as often as common cards, at least, if not even lower than that. It is a 9 mana 4/4 taunt. Battlecry, summon 2 copies of this. So it's 3 times 4/4. And then Corrupt, fill your board with copies. I'll tell you right off the bat, Corrupt is giving this very few points. Because in order to corrupt this card, you have to play a 10 mana card. So that doesn't happen very frequently, and this card is not getting a lot of value for that corrupt. I don't even know if it's getting 10 points for that corrupt. Maybe 10 points. So that 228 score that you see is based a lot on just the fact that it is a smaller Eye of the Storm. People are thinking, but Eye of the Storm is so much better. It's a 5/6. This is only a 4/4. But Eye of the Storm, keep in mind, not only comes out 1 turn later by being 10 mana, but it also overloads you for 3. So it's effectively like 13 mana.
Yeah.
You don't think of it that
Eye
way.
of the Storm in our new system is much higher.
Oh yeah, let's look at what Eye of the Storm is in our new system. Eye of the Storm is the best Shaman card in our new system, and it is a 317.
So, for reference here.
And if you've ever played with Eye of the Storm or against Eye of the Storm, you know it deserves this rating. You know that Eye of the Storm is better than Twin Tyrant, significantly. And so if Twin Tyrant's at 230, Eye of the Storm at 317 doesn't seem that off. So yeah. Going back to the Carnival Clown, it is a mini Eye of the Storm, neutral mini Eye of the Storm, and Eye of the Storm is that good. Anything you want to say about Carnival Clown?
Once again, the taunt makes everything. If Eye of the Storm didn't have taunt, if Carnival Clown didn't have taunt, it would not be as good. So this score is not one in which people don't be fooled into thinking, oh, it must be like on average a 100 card, and like on the off chance it corrupts, that's pulling it up like significantly, because in those cases like a 2000 rated card. 9 mana for triple 4/4s taunt is just good. That's what you want a big card to do. The last thing you want to do is for a big card to be consolidated and easily dealt with. And Carnival Clown gives you a ton of stats, and this is accounting for the fact that you're not getting any buffs with it. Like you're not able to use it in any sort of advantageous way. It's just a really freaking good card. And then, of course, people will play like the bunny into this, and you're going to lose like that. And, the clown music. But it's just really freaking solid. Eye of the Storm is good, and this is just good for kind of the same reason. It's split bodies that are taunted, so they have to deal with what you just played instead of just going to your face.
I'm going to hate facing this card just because you're going to lose to clowns. And I don't know what could be worse than that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people are thinking, oh, yeah, that makes sense that this is so high, or if people are still like, no, this can't be like that good. It may be good, but it may not be like one of the best neutral cards ever made. But we'll see. We'll see soon enough, right? Like, I feel like these aren't, like, between Claw Machine and Carnival Clown, these aren't like stealth cards, right? Like, they're going to show their power right off the bat. All right. So next, we go down to our third best card, neutral card in the set, which is a 200. A 200 is a lot worse than a 230, by the way. It's 30 points worse. It's literally the same difference as between a 130 and a 100 card. So this is quite a significant step down. But it's still a 200-point card that's like 20 points better than a Proto Drake and 100 points better than a Yeti. It is Darkmoon Dirigible. It is a 3-mana 3/2 mech with Divine Shield, and if you can corrupt it, it gains Rush.
Yeah. Look, this is a card that we don't have to overanalyze the initial stats of. It's a power crept, if you want to call it that. Scarlet Crusader, which is a serviceable 3-drop. So even when it's not corrupted. And when you look at the corrupt mechanic, you want to weigh, okay, how easy is it to corrupt, number one? So the fact that this is 3 mana means you play anything over 3 mana and it's corrupted, so it's easier to corrupt this than something that's like 5 or 6 mana.
Mm-hmm.
And You want to look at the situations in which, okay, even if I can't corrupt it, or even if I don't want to corrupt it, what happens? Well, you're still playing a very serviceable 3-drop, and that matters a lot, especially for small cards. There's this kind of balancing act you do with small cards in that it's easier to corrupt them, but you want to play small cards earlier because a lot of the value in small cards is being able to play them earlier. So Blizzard once again recognizes this. They do a good job of saying, okay, if you're giving that up, then it should, give you a decent amount in return. And that's what you see with the dirigible, and it's just very, very well balanced in that way. And by balanced, I mean it's very good. Like they Blizzard purposefully made it very good, and it's just kind of cool to see like how a car that looks very simple has had so much thought put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why ADWCTA is talking about the skill testing phase of this meta, in which a lot of people look at corrupt. It's like, oh, it's something that so easy to understand, but you're weighing these things, and you're testing a skill which has always been in the game, but Blizzard hasn't really rewarded you specifically for doing it. We've seen it with like Nerubian Prophet and some cards to some extent, but now you have to juggle all of these things at once. So it's just super cool to see.
Yep, and keep in mind the imprisoned cards are still in the game, so there's like a lot of like messing with power levels by waiting that's happening in this set. So yeah, Darkmoon Dirigible, your neutral king of corruption. I mean, I guess Carnival Clown is, but that's not actually going to get corrupted. So yeah, 200 points. I know it doesn't look so good because we just did Claw Machine and Carnival Clown, but those are like true outliers of insanely good cards. Darkmoon Dirigible is still better than any other neutral card that's going to be in your game. Like, just don't let the fact that Claw Machine is that silly detract from how amazing, how high premium the Darkmoon Dirigible is. All right. Finally, we're going to drop 50 points down. And we're going to drop 50 points down, and we still kept it top 4 instead of top 3, because I think there's quite a significant like cutoff between this card and the next card, even though it may not be that cutoff on a points perspective, in terms of like ridiculously in general usage. So the next card, the final card in our top 4, is an epic card. It is the Darkmoon Rabbit. We got shown this card very early, and I was immediately like, terrible design, won't be the best neutral card, but it'll be really good. And we got it at a 150. 150 is a little bit below Smug Senior, a little bit above Wandmaker, your Og Merchants, Fishy Flyer. Like, these are your pretty premium cards, but not like really doing the most ridiculous work, right? Like, these aren't the Twin Tyrant Claw Machine levels. And Darkmoon Rabbit is a 10 mana card. It is a 10 mana 1/1. And it is Rush. And it is poisonous. And it also damages the minions next to whomever it attacks. So if they have 3 minions on the board, this rabbit, they can protect from the rabbit. If they have only 2 minions on the board, it doesn't matter how they do their taunts. The rabbit's just going to kill both things. The rabbit is a neutral board clear, right? It's a neutral, one-sided board clear. There's barely even one-sided board clears at a class level. So building it in the neutral category it's frankly kind of insane. And I don't know. You're going to have to always play around this when you get to turn 10 from now on in the back of your mind, like even more so than the way you would play around a Deathwing. Because people are going to see this a lot more often, and like it's better than a Deathwing.
To elaborate, you don't always play around. You should think of it when you're ahead.
Right. That's what I mean.
It shouldn't always be like, well, how can I always play around it? Yeah. But it should be in your thought process, just like how Deathwing, when you were ahead, was always in your thought process.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. It's a lot.
It's a lot. So once again, because I see a lot of people who are saying, oh, this is bad, I wouldn't play this. Think of how long the games are going now, and think of how long the games will be going when there is this much initiative in the game. So you guys know us. We have always been preaching. It's like, well, cards have to be able to be played, right? There's a cost to them. We know this. We've been preaching this for quite a few years. We're in a meta, and we're going into a meta in which that will just happen. Classes have too many tools to stop, to basically stop you in your tracks. You're going to be able to stop other people. Cards generate other cards. They just keep on drawing stuff. Your chances of being able to play a rabbit are heavily increased. And I understand what what a lot of people are thinking. Merps, what if they have more than 3 minions? What if they play an annoying taunt? What if they have tons of death rattles? I could give you those examples for the best cards. Okay. What if you're really behind when you play Twin Tyrant? What if they have 2 things at 5 health? That's not the proper way to evaluate these things. But somehow, when people see cards, that's kind of what they default to. And you need to take it for what it is. Can we reach 10 mana now? Yes, we can reach 10 mana now. Is this an effect that on average is really good? Yes. And that's why it's at a 148. But once again, 148 isn't the 148 that you knew before. So you have to adjust for that as well. There's a lot of adjustments we're asking you guys to make here.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, pick it, obviously. Like, even if you think it's bad, like if you have a mid-range or later deck, just like pick it, and then you'll use it, and then you'll see. This is not a super hard to play card. And again, a lot of these cards are not like hard to play, but they do involve a degree of skill. And then they kind of like stack on top of each other and create a lot of decision making. Like, Blizzard's really made the game a lot more complicated in the last like year than they have before that. Like your imprisoned things, your cards that generate another copy of itself, and now between the corruptions and the claw machines, and now Darkmoon Rabbit, like, things are complicated, and you will never be safe now that we have a rabbit in this game.
Yep.
All right, Darkmoon Rabbit. That covers us for the top 4. I want to give a shout out to David Attenborough Says, who is uploading these videos onto YouTube, and who is our YouTube manager overall. If you have not checked out our YouTube yet, it is youtube.com/grinninggoat. And we upload, so the Arena Coop is uploaded there every week, and that's coming back with the Darkmoon Faire. Yay. And we have the Lightforge uploaded on there. We upload a bunch, not all, but a bunch of our first place finishes for Battlegrounds as well, including a lot of our co-ops. Yeah, it's just a nice place to get content, some of which are edited, some of which are not. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much to David Attenborough Says. Thank you so much to all of the mods who are here, who got here early, who help us a lot, but are especially helping us today. I see Legendheart, Cass, Alahud, Boss Ben, and Samson. So thank you guys for taking part in this, keeping all of these degenerate Twitch chatters in line. All right, what are we doing in the next video?
In the next video, we're going to talk about all the other neutrals that matter. So all the other okay playable neutrals.
All right, see you in the next video, guys.
See ya.